Hello.
There you are.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. So Maharshi is a software engineer at John Deere, and we're really excited to talk with you. Why don't I turn the stage over to you?
Yep, share my screen. I guess I have a PPT at hand. I'll have to share my screen. Yeah. Let me know if my screen is visible.
Yep, looks great.
Yep. Okay, so hello everyone and a warm welcome. I'm your presenter today, Maharshi Mishra, a software engineer at John Deere. Our exciting exploration today dives deep into the world of AWS security, covering its essentials like IAM, VPC, and security groups. These tools are not just software, they're your secret weapons in building a robust and secure AWS environment. So let's embark on this journey. So yeah, we'll be covering a bunch of topics. You can have a look over here. So you know what you want to wait for. So yeah, let's introduce what am I going to talk today. In today's connected world, data is the currency and protecting this data is vital. When we move our operations to the cloud, security becomes even more crucial. Though Amazon Web Services, through Amazon Web Services, we gain scalability, flexibility, and a vast array of services. But alongside these advantages, we also have a responsibility to ensure our data and operations remain secure. This is a shared responsibility. For example, just for starters, I can tell you that the physical security is handled by the AWS, while uh, setting up the firewalls is our responsibility. So yeah, this session aims to provide you with the knowledge to safeguard your cloud environment effectively. So AWS, Amazon's secure cloud services platform, offers over 200 services, from computing power to storage options and, let's say, data analytics. It's the digital canvas on which you can paint your solutions. But how do we ensure our masterpiece remains secure? That's where AWS Security steps in, with comprehensive tools and services that allow us to protect our data, meet compliance demands, and maintain an overall secure environment. So that's what we'll be going through today. So let's start with identity and access management. Also, in short, it's called IAM. IAM is pretty talked about. It can be easy and it can be as tough it can be. I'll tell you why. Let's keep it simple. Do you remember how superheroes have control over their powers and who can use them? That's what IAM does for your AWS account. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. With IAM, we can create and manage AWS users, groups, define roles, and set up robust policies. In a sense, IAM provides us granular control over who can do what in our AWS environment. For example, you wouldn't want a developer to go into the billing section of the AWS account as the, let's say, CEO of the company. So you will assign the developer a role that gives them the access for the particular area that's needful, that's useful for them for their work. So let's go ahead. IAM users and groups. IAM users, let's think of users in IAM as individuals, or let's say even applications that interact with our AWS resources. We group these users to assign permissions efficiently. Like I gave an example on the last slide, developers could be one group, testers could be another, and the admin staff could be another group. But remember, like a wise superhero, we should follow the principle of least privilege. Always grant only the necessary access to carry out a task. We shouldn't provide more access than it's required. you know the reasons how it can be misused. So yeah, if a specific role or a group requires more access, they can request it accordingly, and it can be added through the root or the admin account. So let's talk about the rules and the policies. Roles in IAM are like temporary identities that you can assume to carry out specific tasks. On the other hand, policies are how we define permissions in AWS. They're like a, a simple JSON document which give you access for specific actions on specific apps and resources on the AWS console. So even if you want to access things programmatically through the AWS console, through the uh, terminal, so even that requires specific policies that give you access for that. It's like, let's, in a simple line, I would say they're like the rule book that superhero follows, dictating what actions are allowed and under what conditions. You know, I would say Batman. So I'll give you a small demo of the console. All talk is pretty boring. So let's go to the AWS console. So this is the AWS console as you log in. If you don't know about it, you'll get a free tier for 1 year. You'll get all the basic resources that for a year that you can use to explore and learn about AWS. So let's start with the IAM that we're talking about. So my IAM dashboard is are already filled, but you can see something like this over here. IAM has user groups, users, roles, policies, groups. I've created a user group that is called admin. This is the root account, but I would suggest you, as soon as you get hold of your AWS account, do not um, just create a user group that's an admin, which gives everyone the administrator access, which attaches the administrator access. This is the policy document. It gives allow effect to all the resources. This is the wildcard for all the actions. So this is the account that you should be using for your day-to-day activities. Just for showing for the presentation purpose, I'm using the root account, but this is not advisable. You should not be using the root account any day. Then yeah, so this is the users that are present in the group. I have created a user. It's all interlinked. Whatever you see over here, user groups contain users. Users have certain roles that are attached to them, which have some policies that can be that describes what they can do or not do in that specific AWS account. So let's create something. Let's create a user. I'll add a user. Let's say test user. Okay. So you can see that it gives me multiple options. Do I want to add this user to the admin group? If I had more groups created, I would have been able to add this user to some other group, or I can copy the permissions that we have. For example, a new teammate is being added. So you would actually want to mirror the permissions that we already have for another teammate. So yeah, this is useful over there. Or you can attach policies directly. Yeah, that's the granular level of control AWS offers you. You can search over your administrator access. Or let's say, let's not give someone the administrator access. I just want to give someone the access to modify, to read the S3, which is the S3 storage service, simple storage service in AWS, just the read only access. So I create a user. been created. And yeah, it's not present in any group. It has not been used anywhere, and it has not been there has been no passwords created for this. So this is one a short demo that gives you an overview how the IAM dashboard looks like. So let's go ahead. So let's in the next slide I have VPC. VPC is a pretty important topic because like it's like a superhero secret hideout in the vast AWS world. You wouldn't want the villains to know where the superhero's secret hideout is, or to whether what the superhero is working in his free time. Inside his hideout, you can launch resources, secure your private network. Essentially, VPC gives you control over your virtual networking environment. It's like a isolated area there where you can experiment, launch resources, and it's until you actually want it to be connected to the internet, it's not connected to the internet, and it's away from the internet, and it's away from the attackers. That's about the VPC. So let's go ahead. So inside the VPC, there are smaller segments, which we call subnets. Actually, we wouldn't want a one big chunk of isolated environment. In even in that, we would like to have saying as a developer, we would like to have a front end, a small set where we have the front end resources, a small set subnet where we have the back end resources, and the another subnet where we have the Lambda. So it's like each subnet also follows a set of rules. It's called route tables. And of course, our secret hideout has a safe exit to the world, the internet gateway. Like I mentioned in the last slide, uh, all your VPCs are not connected to the external world until you actually wanted to. That's through the internet gateway. Let's go ahead. So yeah, talk would be boring, but I'll show you a demo with how to work with the VPC. Yeah, let's go to the front page of AWS console. Here you'll I have visited VPC quite recently, so let's not go. Let's assume I don't have this here. So you can search from over the gazillion services that AWS offers. You can search it over here, virtual private cloud. Uh, let's say just the VPC. So yeah, it gives me an option to create a VPC. So let's create a secret hideout. Okay, if I create only the VPC, I'll be asked with a name that would be used to identify this specific VPC. You can have multiple VPCs though. I'll say my VPC, or let's stick to the story that I'm telling, secret hideout. Okay. You can define IPv4 CIDR ranges. This is a specific way to define it. If we are not aware of it, so you can visit some guides like these. You can search on the internet for guides on subnetting. That would actually go through the notation that's given over here. Like for example, this covers a set of IP addresses that starts with 10 dot. So this is a way of writing the allowed IP addresses that would be available inside this VPC. So keeping everything as default, I can keep a tag. Tags are useful. I'll mention it over here. Tags are useful when you have an enterprise and you have multiple teams working. And as a administrator, you need to keep a watch which team and is is utilizing how much of AWS resources. And at the end, as an administrator, when you get the bill, uh, your bill would be divided into different uh, tags. It would be the whole allocation, the cost allocation would be done according to the tag, so that you know how much each tag or the team is using. So this is simple. I'll create a VPC, or if you want to have more options, you can create VPC and more. This is something new. This is newly added to the AWS dashboard, where we have uh, a complete visualization of what we are expecting. Like I told you, a VPC may contain multiple subnets. These are the different availability zones: US East 1A and US East 1B, which follow some route tables, which use some internet gateway to access the internet, so that any resource inside this is pretty useless if it's just kept here. So it should be available to the public outside, so that you can use some resource that's being presented in the AWS account. So that's all uh, about the VPC. Let's go back. So next we have security groups. Like all good nightclub bouncers, our AWS environment has security groups. They control inbound and outbound traffic to resources like EC2 instances and maintaining the integrity of the environment. Uh, EC2, if you know, it's like normal VMs that are spun up in the AWS environment, Elastic Compute Cloud. And each security group has some set of rules which controls all the set of IP addresses that it wants to whitelist, or if you want to blacklist some set of IP addresses, you can even do that. So yeah, that's what security groups are about. And if you look at it, those who have, if someone in the audience has used or spun up an EC2, it's pretty useful and pretty fundamental to any EC2. EC2 is the most fundamental unit, like basic resource of and most commonly used resource of AWS. It has a security group attached. So even security group is that fundamental, because it, for as basic resource as an EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, it acts as a virtual firewall that controls the inbound and outbound traffic. Sometimes you wouldn't want users to access the data inside your EC2. That's when you control the inbound traffic. Otherwise, if you have a website that's hosted on your EC2, you would necessarily want to whitelist the IPs, or maybe general wildcard whitelist uh, the IPs, so that the website hosted on your EC2 gets the attention of the users and it's being accessed by the users out in the outside world. And mind you, security groups are, it's not like every EC2 has another security group. It's not a one-on-one relationship. So one security group can be attached to multiple resources. It can be your EC2 instances, or it's like it can be used in your S3 buckets as well. So it can be based on IP addresses, the protocols, even the ports, and multiple other criteria. Let's go through a small demo that tells you where to find the security groups. As I mentioned, security groups are fundamental to AWS and mostly to the EC2. You wouldn't want your EC2 instances lying around over the internet. So here where you'll find, as on the side pane scrolling down under network and security, you will find security groups. I have multiple security groups created. this is for the load balancer. I'll show you one. These are the randomly generated numbers that we name it gives while creating the security groups. If you can see, these are the inbound rules. I have allowed all traffic and outbound rules that allows all traffic. But I would suggest you, this is for only my testing and my learning purposes. So that's the reason I've allowed all the traffic, but you should fine grain your control over what is being accessed and what accesses your EC2 account. And just as I said, every AWS resource comes with tags. You know why now. Let's create one security group. I'll be quick. Okay, I'll create new security group. If you want to add, you can add some inbound rules, but for now, I'll be quick over here. Yeah, this is the same notation that I talk about, set-asider notation. You can allow certain set of IP addresses. For example, you would want to add inbound rules when you want to SSH inside your EC2 just to do some configuration changes. So that would be it. Yeah, let's say allow SSH access. It's simple, creating an EC2 security group. If you have an instance, you can, while launching an instance, you can attach a security group, select existing security group. Yeah, this is what I created just now. So yeah, that's all about it. And now the advanced security considerations. While our superheroes, IAM, VPC, and security groups are powerful, AWS offers more. Tools like AWS WAF Shield, and Guard Duty, they add extra layers of protection to your environment. WAF is something that protects you from DDoS attacks. If you know, distributed denial of service, multiple bot computers overload your system so that the system is down and the users have an hindrance accessing your resource or the website. That's the DDoS, and WAF actually protects you from that. Shield and Guard Duty suggest you the changes that you need to do in your policies and roles and documents. They're pretty useful, as in when you are using the AWS account, it's good to have them activated. And there's some thing called the KMS, AWS Key Management Service. It's good to have those keys organized in one place. For example, if you have a database instance spun up, you should have a custom key created for your database instance stored in your KMS, so that, for example, even if you ever want to move your DB instance or a copy of it somewhere else, image of it somewhere else, nobody can access that image or use it until you share the key as well. So that's how important managing the keys with KMS is. So there's also something called CloudTrail and CloudWatch. CloudTrail is logging every action that you do on the AWS console, and CloudWatch keeps a watch on your resources. If you, for example, as a startup, you wouldn't want to exceeding the let's say $1,000 mark for a specific resource. So you can set alarms whenever it breaches that, or even breaches 90% or 80% of something. So it's useful over there. That's all about the advanced security considerations. And something that's for all the users out there using AWS. AWS can offer everything, but it can't do anything if you lose your password to someone. So it's better to use strong unique passwords with multi-factor authentications, so that even if you lose your password someday, your account stays safe, the resources stay safe. And if you are a company, it's even more important than the user's data stays safe. So, everyone needs to understand that securing your AWS environment is not a one-time setup. It's not a one-time thing that you need to do at the start of the setup of the account. It's a continuous process, and you need to keep regular monitoring, regular audits, and encryption at rest and in transit. Even you need to even if you're doing some remote access, it should be secure, and you should have an efficient incident response. All of these contribute to a very strong security posture. So that's that's all about the AWS. So what did we go through today? We went through the identity and access management. We went through the virtual private cloud and how it's our secret hideout, and a hideout for all the resources and all the amazing things that we're all the masterpieces that we're making in our AWS account. We also discussed security groups uh, and how it has inbound and outbound rules so that our resources don't get accessed by someone we don't want to. So, and that's all about security groups. We went through some advanced security considerations where we talked about guard duty. We talked about CloudTrail, which logs every action on your AWS console. We talked about CloudWatch, which gives you an alarm when you breach certain limit or some threshold. So, and we went through some practical tips as well for securing your AWS resources, because if you are doing some mistake from your side, AWS wouldn't be responsible. So that's all from my side. So thank you for attending. AWS has a lot of resources. I'll go through something. Yeah, I guess I have the white papers open over here. Yeah, AWS has white papers. You can go through different things that AWS has put out. It's it's pretty enlightening when you see the different case studies that have put over there, and also the AWS documentation. It's a lot of things that AWS offers. So it comes with a very lucid and very extensive documentation. So that's all from my side. Thank you.